Hey, good morning, everybody, and happy Tuesday to you. We've made it to April 19th. Wow. I hope you guys are having a great week. Hope your week has started off really good. You've been getting to some new places, getting to some new things in your own world, and that's a good thing. Yesterday I spoke to you guys about the power of you and kind of acclimating to a better understanding of the relationship that you have, number one, with yourself. And as we start forming these different patterns, we start working through the things we've been through in our past, you know, and developing that much better position for our today and understanding what our feelings are, what our processes are, but letting ourselves actually be in that space to feel, understand, form better, healthier patterns that take us from, well, where we are to where we want to be. And one of the facets, and what I'm going to talk to you about today, is the fact that we are all different. We're all different human beings. We have different hearts. We think differently. We feel differently. And a lot of times, this becomes one of the hiccups that trigger in a lot of us. Is that because we start operating in a context that we think that everybody else needs to think exactly the way we do. Everybody else is going to feel the exact same way in a situation that we do. And that's the part that's going to mess us up. Because nobody has the same heart as you. Nobody has the same feeling and focus as you do. Nobody has the past that you have. So when we have to take all that in, that's a very important aspect and realm that we need to, live within. I mean, we are all products of our own individual upbringing and experiences. So it's completely natural that we're all going to have differences in opinions on a wide range of issues. I mean, let's face it, the world would be a very, very dull place if we were all the same. And it's the incredible diversity amongst all of us throughout the world that makes it, well, such a fascinating place, right? But we have to also take into the fact that with technology and social media and, cheaper air travel and all this, well, the world's getting smaller. I mean, the internet has made the world seem a much smaller place. And we're increasingly brought into contact with people from many different ethnicities, religious backgrounds, languages, cultures, belief systems. I mean, this is present every day on TV and the news and on the internet. And to feel comfortable about people whom we encounter means that we have to feel comfortable about ourselves. And this means accepting ourselves for who and what we are. And this brings us to the point of prejudice, nature. And unfortunately, many people put up barriers to protect themselves instead of opening themselves up to others. And this in turn leads to a mistrust of others regardless of color, religion, gender, or any other stereotypical excuse given as to why we fear others. And if you look at it on a global scale, well, this is often, why wars get started that we see around the world. And then the increase in terrorism and so forth. Because we all know that these kinds of responses only really fuel further mistrust. Yet even in our own immediate environments, such as our workplace, local pub, well, we all tend to congregate in our little groups. We don't really give much thought sometimes to the people around us. And listen, there are benefits. There's benefits of being open with others. When we get to learn about others and respect our similarities and our differences, well, we get to learn so much more about, the world and about ourselves. And this helps us to grow spiritually instead of just kind of stagnating. It also opens the doors to many other opportunities, be they friendships, work prospects, travel possibilities, or just a wider understanding of the world in which we live. So in that, we have to learn, how to become more tolerant and accept others openly. Many people who are fearful of others are not so because they have any sense of resentment towards them, but because they're not sure how to go about communicating with them, and also because they fear that their own little cocoon of protection might be threatened. So in other words, They make the mistake of believing that others' viewpoints and opinions might open them up to the risk that their own opinions may be deemed worthless. And this is simply not true. And what is important is that everybody's entitled to a viewpoint or opinion, and we should respect that right, even if we don't necessarily agree with it. So, tolerance is the key, but you can still maintain your own identity and still have valid viewpoints. Remember, even identical twins have their own individual experiences and opinions, and you probably don't agree with everything your parents or children say, but does that necessarily compromise you? Because there's many things that we can do to move towards accepting other people's opinions and respecting our differences. And at a very basic level, we should treat others with the same degree of respect as we would like to be treated ourselves, right? We should embrace our differences, not be afraid of them. And we should never judge a person on our first impression, which is often about how he or she looks. Taking the time to get to know the person within is a far better indicator than prejudging them on appearance alone. And sadly, we fall short of that a lot. Getting to truly know a new person who we may feel is quite different to us can be a very rewarding experience. And it's true that when we're looking to make friends or start relationships, that we tend to gravitate towards people that we believe have, they have a similar outlook to ourselves. But in restricting ourselves to that mindset, we can often miss out on many interesting experiences. I've met people I've got friends all over the world, different countries, different cultures, different viewpoints, different upbringing, everything. And let me tell you, having that, smorgasbord of friendships, it did help. It helped me learn different aspects of how to view things or how to embrace. We have to embrace others sometimes. We have to embrace things that are different than our own. But that's what helps us grow. That's what helps us reach a different place, raise to another level. And it's also when we project that way. Well, that's what we are putting out there to receive that way. So you're going to bring in more people that are going to be in that kind of mentality where they're open. They're open. They're allowing themselves to be open because you're allowing yourself to be open. And that is the start point for a great learning experience, a great friendship. So what's the other key here? Well, you got to be prepared to listen. You guys know I talk a lot about communication and how we communicate. Well, what's one of the key points in communication is listening. I mean, communication isn't simply about talking. In fact, some of the best communicators on the world stage tend to be less vocal than we might think that they need to be effective communicators. Now, I like using this example, which is Kofi Annan at the UN. He holds one of the world's most powerful positions when it comes to mediating between powerful people from different countries, and often with major differences in opinion. But he's good at what he does, as he's a good listener. And in effective communication, it's the listening that's the key. Take time to listen to others' opinions and acknowledge them, and also be confident to express your own. Listening to others' opinions doesn't mean you have to deviate from your own firmly held viewpoint, although a diverse opinion to your own can sometimes make you think about things in a much different light. And this is all part of a maturing of the mind. It's not about convincing others that you're right or about them convincing you that they're right, but simply a matter of being understood and an acceptance that you might agree to disagree. And if that's the case, that's okay. That doesn't damage you. And it also doesn't damage the other person, right? So you can agree to disagree and still respect each other as human beings because you've communicated clearly on both ends and you've listened. We have to allow others. I mean, I I see it all the time in couples counseling. One or the other will get furious because the other side doesn't. They're not agreeing. They're not seeing a viewpoint, and that's just the way it's going to be sometimes. Why? Because we're all different. We're all going to operate differently. We're all going to process differently. We're all going to feel differently towards different situations. And if people become more tolerant towards others and take time to get to know some of those with whom they were unfamiliar with previously, well, it would lead to a far more peaceful and understanding world. And ultimately, when considering your own self growth, and acceptance of other people's differences is a surefire way of gaining a more complete acceptance of yourself. And that's where it starts, isn't it? Is that we have to accept ourselves. We have to have a very clear scope and understanding and relationship with who you are and what you are. And learn to listen and learn to be tolerant and learn to be open. Let yourself be open. Having that bit of vulnerability is not going to damage you if you're doing it in the right way. And that means just approaching in a healthy context. If you're meeting somebody brand new, just because they look like somebody in your past doesn't mean that they are somebody in your past. So you got to give that opportunity for you to be able to expand and open up and learn somebody new and let somebody learn you. And the more you do that, guess what? Trust issues and all of those things, they improve. They get better because you start learning how to actually navigate in a healthy function with yourself, which makes other people want to operate in a healthy function towards you as well. Now, I hope you guys have been able to pull something from this today. This is kind of a shorter show this morning. I would like to, if anybody wants to come up here, Elizabeth, Mark, Nathan, guys, I appreciate you guys being here. Crystal, welcome in. I'm actually just in the process of closing up, so if you missed the beginning, please, by all means, go back and listen to the replay. But today's just to kind of sum it up, just remember that we are all different. We all have our own viewpoints. We all have our own heart. We all have our own life. And so we have to let ourselves be in that capacity. We have to remember that not everybody has the same heart as you. Not everybody is going to feel the exact same way you do. And when we start taking that in and really starting to apply it to our daily structure, our daily communication pattern, our daily process of how we listen, and do we listen, or do we just shut people down? Or when we are trying to communicate a feeling, are we so fervently set on we need to be right, we need to make sure that we are heard, but we don't turn around and give the same courtesy in return? Well, that doesn't help you elevate yourself. That doesn't help you in the process of really building to a better understanding of other people. Elizabeth just shared on the back end, we have our own uniqueness. And that is so accurate. We are all unique. Unique. Think about that word unique. That means that there's not another one like you. You are unique. You are your own. You are your own creative being. You are your own separate individual beauty of creation. That is you. And then take that in. So is everybody else. We are all beautiful, unique individuals. So we have to allow ourselves to truly be in that place, to respect that, honor that. Let that be a good thing. I love getting to know new people. I meet a lot of new people on a regular basis. Even when I'm in this smaller area of Georgia, still I go out and I'll meet somebody new at least every other day, if not every day. And I love that. Now, and if you're the type that, it's hard for you to go and say hello to somebody new, or hard for you to really branch into that, well, just remember that it gets easier if you just allow yourself to start doing that. Say hello to somebody standing in line with you at the store, Say hello when you're sitting at the pub having a pint. I sit at the pub and have a pint, but see, that's how I grew up. Ireland is very, very, very culturally driven, in terms of that where I grew up in Galway, let me tell you something. If you went in and you didn't know anybody, there could be a table of people sitting there. They will invite you to sit down with them to have dinner. They'll invite you to sit down and have a pint. and you'll end up best friends by the end of the night. That's just the way it is. I can't even tell you, like growing up, oh my word, I mean, all the time. I'd end up sitting down with a table of people I didn't know a single solitary one of them. But we were, it's in Ireland, it's just very open, very welcoming, very, nobody should be made to feel like an outcast or just not good enough or something like that. And that's sadly where a lot of the mindsets get to. We get to that point where they're not part of our clique. They don't fit in. They don't dress the same. They don't talk the same. They don't think the same. So therefore, no, thank you. That's not very welcoming, is it? And then think about if somebody that's struggling with the aspect of feeling worthless, being depressed, being anxious, feeling alone, and then they experience that maybe the first time that they try to say hello. Man, that's some damaging stuff, people. So think about that. Next time a stranger says hello to you, you don't know their life and story. And just like they don't know yours. So learn to be tolerable. Learn to be open. Learn to open your heart. Learn to listen. And learn to communicate truly, honestly, and deeply. Well, guys, thank you again so much for being here. This is PsychCandy every day right here on Fireside at 11:30 a.m. Monday through Friday. Tomorrow, I encourage you to please come back. I'm going to be doing a part 2 of yesterday's show, which is the power of you. And going to have a special guest coming up to share a story. And so please come back, join me tomorrow. And yeah, I hope you have a very blessed and amazing rest of your Tuesday. Hope your week is going awesome. And I will see you guys tomorrow.